Hey guys, this is Zach. Today I'm going to go through a little bit of Bobcad and hit on several different features. Not going to focus too much on any one thing. And I want to give you a little rundown of what I'm offering as well. So kind of just a quick overview. Nothing too big right now, but to give you an idea. So what I'll be offering is product design side of things would be one part of it. So that can be CAD work, that can be CAM work, both, either 2D or 3D. You know, that's pretty self-explanatory, I think. So whatever it is that you need done, I can take care of it. The more unique side of things would be desktop support. So that'll be more of in line with training. So if you know nothing about Bobcad, that's all right. We can start very entry level, or if you need help with 3D stuff or certain things on the cam side, anything really, I can help you with that. So we'll get into it more as I go, and if you have any questions, reach out to me. So again, this video, this is a little bracket I drew up, just something kind of generic so I can hit on some different features and some simple tool paths. And I'm gonna have a list of a few things I want to hit on. Again, it's kind of a quick overview. I'll probably get into making more specific videos as we go once this one gets out there. Okay, so I'm going to hide this. I'll start on this because it's kind of what I used, so I can walk through and show you how I did it. So these layers over here, you can put as many layers as you need, and you can put whatever on them. So this one I named it complete because this was the final part that I made. So I'm going to hide this, and I'm going to kind of walk through. This is basically the steps that I took to make it, and I think this is the easiest way for me to kind of show that. So initially I did the outside profile, and then the corners, circle pockets, put those lines there to join to make that slot essentially in the 4 holes. So I'm going to, I'm going to check these. I'm going to delete this. And I'm going to just walk back through it with you guys. And so the way layers work, so whatever you draw, so whatever I draw now would be applied to this layer that is checked. And it's really nice if you have something very complex. You can get a lot of the junk out of your way if you're not wanting to work on that specific part. It makes your life a lot easier. For this is, I don't generally use layers for something like this, but it's making it helpful so I can show you the steps. So we'll leave that one checked. So what I'm going to do, let's see here, I'm just going to copy. I'm going to copy all of this stuff. I'm going to apply it to this complete layer, but I'm going to kind of give you a rundown and show you what I did. and again, by me doing this, you'll see different features that the software offers. So since I did this outside profile here and then drew the squares, this is actually kind of a handy feature because there's actually 2 rows of lines just behind this part. So I'm going to do a couple things real quick. I'm going to show you this feature. It's called Break Mini. So basically what that is right now, when I select over here, it selects this whole line if you can see it. So now I technically want to just select in here for what I'm doing right this second. So that's what I will accomplish by using this Break Mini. And it's the same for all the corners. So I'm going to select all these. Hit OK. So now you can see that when I select this, it's just there. So the other side of it, like I said, there's technically 2 lines on these points because I did multiple sketches that really ended up on top of each other. So say I just deleted a line, so there's still another one there. I'm going to show you an easier way to do that. So I undid what I deleted. So this feature right here, what is that? Erase doubles. So on these corners, like I said, there's 2 lines. So now, if I were to come over here and click that, and then hit delete, it would erase because there's only 1 line now. So it did its job by getting rid of the 2 that I wanted. So that's a pretty handy feature. I actually use that a decent amount. But so now that that's done, I'm actually just going to get rid of these corners completely. But I'm able to hit on a few different topics. So doing the break mini to separate this line and this line from these two allows me to delete them and get them out of the way. So what I did here, I'm going to chamfer these corners. I actually use chamfers and radiuses so I can cover both of those. Chamfer, set your angle. I'm pretty sure I left it as a default, just for an example. So you have your angle and your distance, basically the length of that chamfer. Let's go through and hit all 4 of these corners. And now I threw an 1/8 inch radius, or I think it was a 1/30 radius in this corner, so I could finish it with a 1/4 inch tool. So arc, fill it, and it's the same idea. You throw whatever radius you want. Again, I'm going to go just a little bit bigger of a radius than a 1/4 inch tool, because realistically, even if I leave them sharp and if I cut it with a 1/4 inch tool, then it's going to leave this radius anyhow. So you know what? I chamfered the wrong corner back there. Let me hop back in here and chamfer the right area. So now again, the chamfer was in lines, and then chamfer, and then arc, fillet. That's going to give you that radius we're talking about. So I'm going to go through and hit these. And again, I'm basically just redrawing everything I had, and it's when I'm done with this, it'll match the model again. And then I can hit on some tool paths. So that's there. Let's double check, make sure everything's looking right. That sketch is matching still. Hide that again. So again, that's a nice thing. So if I didn't want to work with this model here the whole time, I mean, if you do everything on one layer, you're going to see everything the whole time, so it can be very annoying. Another great feature I'm going to show you, quick trim. So let's say I want to I don't want to delete the whole circle, I just want to delete what's in here so I can basically make this a slot with nothing interrupting. Click those features and you can see the part that's darker is what it's going to delete. So now, to get there, I had made 2 circles and then I connected them with the lines at top. So then by just deleting the insides of those circles, it just created the slot that I wanted. So, and on here, you definitely don't have to do this. I like putting points in the center of my arcs to select when I run my drill cycle. You definitely don't have to. It's just, if you have a bunch of holes, it's nice because you can hide the rest of the stuff and just select all of them, all of the points, and just set your drill cycles up and run it right, just like that. So again, it's a real quick run through. My plan is not really to spend a ton of time on any one feature. It's really to show you what the software is capable of, what I'm capable of with the software, and what we're offering. So if you do have questions, reach out to me and I can start making more specific videos, or we can start working together, which is what this is really intended for. So I'm going to hide this again, and you can see over here I created 4 toolpaths. So basically I roughed those corners out. You can see that they're selected. I did a finish profile, I did that pocket, and I drilled the holes. So nothing too fancy. And on here, this stock, I actually already set it. Let me unblank it. So I made it just a little bit bigger than the finished part. So what you do for that use stock wizard. So in this case we had a rectangle. And the part that I had drawn up was 3 by 2. And I actually made it 3.1 by 2.1, like I said, to extend a little bit past 1 inch deep in the Z direction. Okay. And then I usually blank it right here. It's in the stock blank. Just because I don't want to look at it. And then the model I made, I had set that as my workpiece. So now when I click on it, but if it wasn't set, you just right click, select, and then click on your model. And this allows you, I'll run through a simulation at the end, and it'll show you can see this workpiece and the stock, so you can really visually just verify what you're doing, but it also has a verification in the software to show you if you're going to crash. So let's hit on, I'm gonna show you a little more about this, but while I'm out here still, milling tools, you right click on that, tool crib. So you can set whatever tool you want to set and it'll be saved in here. So if you want different end mills for roughing, finishing, chamfer mill, whatever size you want to put in here, you add whatever you need. So up front it can be a lot of work to get everything set up, but I mean, if you use 10 or 20 of the same tools, you put them all in here, and then it helps a lot and it goes fast. Another really cool thing I'm going to touch on really quick. So let's say if you had a unique toolpath, so like say this pocket. So say if it were if it took a lot of time to get it dialed in how you like it, and you do a lot of this similar style pocket, so you can right click on this and save it. Yeah, I'm not going to go through the full process of saving it and pulling it back up, but you can save that, name it whatever you would like to name it. Again, if it's a certain pocket that you cut hundreds of, save that, and every time you come to a part that has something similar, you load it in here, and then select your new geometry. So if this is what I wanted to select, I would select that, and then if you need to adjust the depth, that's all those things are really easy. It's just sometimes, say if it's your certain approach to entering your cut or your step over or your feeds and speeds, that's all saved. So it's very easy to just pull it in, reselect it, and you're back in business, good to go. So let's do this first toolpath right here. So you can see now, this is what I've had selected. So basically, since there's more meat on those corners, I'm going to focus just on that to rough it out. So once I come in here, I'm doing a profile in this case. And as I move forward, you will see that. So right here, work offset. 1 is G54, and so on. So 2 is G55, 3 is G56, etc. I'm just using G54 for now. Tool. So you see tool crib here, and I was just talking about that. Tool crib. You can. You have some right here, but you can also add from library, where you're going to have a whole bunch of them. So if you have a certain tool in here that you use that you have saved, named it whatever, click on that tool, OK, select it here, OK, and it'll populate all of the information for that tool, certain tool number, feeds and speed over here. So this material, you can select your material. I've never done much with it. I cut a lot of aluminum, so and for the most part, I kind of know what I'm using RPM wise, and certainly that's relative to material and the tooling that you're using. So I would recommend looking at your tooling manufacturer. Most people are pretty good about having recommended SFM right there, that's surface foot per minute. So that, again, the manufacturer is probably the best place to go for that kind of stuff, and that's so that number is directly relative to the diameter of the tool and the RPM. So as the RPM increases, that's going to increase. So I'm just going to throw an RPM in there. I'll feed rate, we'll leave it alone. Stock remaining, so standard right here. This would do one pass around that profile. In that case, each corner would hit it one pass, but that would obviously be too heavy of a cut and it wouldn't get rid of that material. So side rough, as you can see here, will do multiple. So I think I just had it as 350 thou per and 4 step overs. That's basically how many step over it's going to do to get rid of that material in the corner. We'll leave 10 thou because I'm actually going to do a finished profile on the whole part with that 1/4 inch tool to get those radiuses to where they need to be. Depth of cut, it set it to single step, it's 1/2 inch deep, so you can do multiple. Set it to, if you want to do an 1/8 inch per, I'm going to leave it at single. I prefer doing full depth of cuts if possible with smaller step overs. Your entrance, I'm going to plunge because it's just going to plunge outside of the part. You have different lead ins and lead outs. I usually leave them the same for something like this especially. So this is your clearance amount. Just basically you shift that out enough so your tool doesn't plunge into the part if that's what you're trying to avoid. I don't usually adjust any of this stuff. This you can adjust the order of what area it's going to cut first. I usually like the way it posts out, so I don't mess with it too much. So we'll compute that. Let me blank this. So you can see, I don't know if you noticed, but I had set it to 4 step overs, and basically it's going to do what it needs to do. So if because you can see the green right here is the actual cutting, and the blue is essentially the lead in. So you can see how little it's actually cutting. So you can work with it and potentially get exactly what you want. But basically, this is saying that 4 is not necessary. It's cutting so little with its first step over out of 3, so it stays right there. I'm not going to hit on all of these. So the profile was the same thing. Actually, especially 2D, they're all really the same idea. Is with the approach you take to select the geometry and your tooling and whatnot. I'll open up the pocket one here to hit on a couple things. Let me touch on this. Let me blank this out. So to say, when I first posted this out, I remember it was cutting. Let me hide this model. It was cutting on the inside of that line, and I didn't want that. So a simple way to fix that is right click on this, and you can modify, so you can totally select a different area and where it starts its cut. But say I liked it where it was, I just want to reverse that direction. So it's cutting on the outside. So that's pretty simple to fix. So if you say, oh, it's cutting on the wrong side, we'll come in here and switch it. Or if you want to start over here, modify. Okay. Again, I just selected that corner, so now when I recompute it, I'm just going to start over here. So most of this stuff, it's actually pretty easy to navigate. It's just I've got a good bit of experience with it, so that's always the biggest thing, is knowing how to do what you want to do. So let's open this pocket up like I said I would. As you can see, this toolpath, they call it, what do they call it? The advanced pocket with adaptive roughing. So basically what that is keeping a constant load on the tool. So it ramps in here and then keeps a consistent step over, which is, and again, you can do, this is 20% step over. So generally that's how I work in most things now. Small step overs, very fast, full depth of cut if possible, or keep it at 2 as little step downs as you need, and bang it out as fast as possible. That's kind of more of a modern way of doing things, I guess you could say, more advanced. So again, everything else was the same. I had just selected that pocket for the geometry that I wanted to cut. I actually left it as a 1/4 inch tool. Same thing with feeds and speeds. That's going to be the same across the board as far as pulling in the tool that you want and setting feeds and feeds, no matter if you're doing 2 or 3D. So you have different. Let me just show you this pocket out. So let me compute real quick. So that's a basic way. So basically, and again, this may be more of an old school way. So it's gonna arc in like that. It's gonna do that spiral. But these first cuts are gonna be the full width of the cutter, if you understand what I'm saying. So at that deep of a cut, full width cutter, good chance you're gonna break the cutter, or you're gonna go really slow and it becomes inefficient. So that's why this is very handy. Takes a little longer to generate it, but you see that constant load, that nice tight spiral, then it's a consistent step over all the way across. So pretty cool stuff. You got a lot of options here. And again, I'm barely touching on anything right now because the video would be way too long if I did. So this, I'm not going to go in much detail. Again, same thing. Go in there, selected my drill. I just selected those points that I drew in for the geometry, and it's just going to punch a hole straight in the middle there. Let's see if I can get through this simulation real quick. And really, the simulation is pretty good on Bobcad. I mean, Bobcad is great. I mean, for the price, you know, you really can't beat it. I've used it. First version I used was 25, I believe, and this one is actually 29. I have 30. I have 27 as well, and I have several. So yeah, it's changed a lot since 25. It naturally, you know, people get better and add a lot of new nice features, but it is was running kind of slow right now. It is a lot on your computer to be able to get some of these things to load up for you. But yeah, that's a real good run through. Like I said, I hit on several different points, and for this, I hope it brings up questions more than anything, I guess, so you can ask me. And I know it's probably, for a beginner, I probably still went through it pretty dang fast, so to a certain extent that's kind of impossible to avoid. I try to make it as clear as I can, you know, and keep it relatively brief to keep you focused on it and learning. But again, you see that side rough out did 3 passes. Because obviously if it came in here and just did 1 pass to the finished number, it wouldn't have cleaned up the whole corner. Let me pick up the speed a little bit. Oh. It's kind of touchy trying to adjust the speed, but as you can see, those corners cleaned up because I went down to the 1/4 inch tool. Now this is the cool path that I would like to see if you understand what I was saying by that. Just doing that spiral entrance. Can't adjust this thing. This up a little. Yeah, so basically once it enters the cut, it's going to finish this out because, like you said, you keep a nice consistent load. Let me slow it down real quick and let you see what I mean by that. It's hard to slow these things down when there's so much happening. But again, it's working over. So it's going to keep that consistent. What I put to 20% is going to keep that at 20% all the way across. Opposed to like that one I showed you briefly, it would have went in and cut. I mean, it would have cut the full width of the cutter for that first cut, at least. Oh, I can't get this thing to rotate. See if I can balance this thing out here. Alright. I'm going to pick up the speed and stop wasting time on this and wrap it up. So yeah, for now, I want to give you a good idea, let you know what the software is capable of and what I'm capable of and what I'm offering for you, and hopefully it gives you a good idea, brings up questions. Like I said, I think that'd be a good thing, and I can start somewhere and start getting it out there for you. So I do want to get feedback on this, and if there's certain things, again, if you're a complete beginner, then there's a lot more things that you're curious about. If you have some experience, then that's great. Let me know what it is that you don't know, what you would like for me to cover. And that would be ideal, is to start making videos that more in detail on certain things. But again, I kind of need feedback, and really curious to what other people do, what they have questions on, and what they've done and what they haven't done. So this was a pretty quick. I think the simulation's almost done now. So yeah, so you can see. I mean, I was able to sketch that up, and I mean, so especially I'm going to wrap that up at that. So feel free to reach out to me and get any questions that you want from me, and anything that you want me to cover. Or if you need me to do work for you, if you want some training, then we can go over all of that. I got multiple different packages that I'm offering. So reach out to me if you need anything. Thank you.